Welcome to Running Unicorns, sports talk that goes beyond stats and stadiums. I'm your host, Christina Southam Townsend. Each episode, we take one word and run with it, exploring how sport connects us, shapes us, divides us, and ultimately unites us. Welcome to the club. Come, run with us. Hi, I'm Christina with Running Unicorns. I'm excited to have Barb Anthony with us today. Welcome, Barb.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a lot of things, actually. I always wanted to be more than one thing, which is kind of the reason I picked social work as a major early on. I was probably one of the only college students, one of the few that picked a major and stuck with it all the way through from the beginning. I love the idea of being able to kind of do all sorts of different work. And so now I have done that throughout my career since college and grad school. So I'm an athlete. I'm a mom. I am a founder and executive director of PlayGap, a nonprofit organization that we're super proud of. I have a private practice. I do consulting, and I have 3 kids, and all of those things intersecting in a lot of different places. I've been a coach. I've worked in school social work. I'm now, 100% focused on sports social work and really excited about what the future holds.
So cool. I am so thrilled to get to dig into some of that today and just thinking of all the hats. There's so many hats you're wearing.
So many hats.
But the hat collection you've got there, Barb.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. So, okay, I have a question I'd love to ask everyone.
Yeah.
What is your walk-on song?
That's such a hard question for me because I think everybody does have some people have a defining song. I think mine changes with the kind of the season of life. And so, I was talking to my daughter about how we get stuck on a few songs here and there and just keep listening to them over and over again until something else catches us. But I was thinking about, there's one that I heard on a Women of Pop playlist. It was Too Much by Dove Cameron, which I don't know why that just resonated with me. But then for those who are invested in K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix, if you have, kids of a certain age, listen, you've got to watch. It's the most watched movie now on Netflix as of last week.
I've heard a lot.
Anyway, there is a song in there. It's called What It Sounds Like. And I would have to say, and the group that is in that movie is called Huntrix. And that's it. Right now, that's the song that I would walk out to if I had to pick today. And
okay,
it's awesome. It's awesome. Trust me on this one. Anybody listening who's seen it, they totally understand what I'm saying.
I love it. I have not seen it, but I have heard rave reviews. So this is more evidence that there's something to it. Some of the things that we kind of talk about Running Unicorns is what moves you, what makes you feel alive, from walk-on songs, you've got all these, you get a lot of projects going on, but is there anything that kind of keeps you going?
Yeah. So, a lot of different things I think keep me going. I feel like I just always naturally kind of strive, and maybe that comes from a place of feeling always behind. I don't know, there's never whenever people ask me what's your goal, what's the end goal, I don't see an end. I just kind of see what can we keep doing, what can we do next, and what keeps me going is these connections and conversations I have with people. That's where great ideas come from. That's where I'm able to identify what people might need, what can I help build, what can I be a part of that promotes some type of joy. I love watching people overcome and find their own joy and belief in themselves. I just, in every way. So whether it's supervision or doing a play gap or having somebody try a sport for the new time and love it, or watching, my kids or a supervisee just accomplish something, that just brings me a lot of joy. And also taking the steps to do something really hard for me and then seeing that the long-term journey actually has a lot of value, right? Nothing comes magically or fast. And so just really appreciating trying to be very present in the moment of understanding that what I do today is going to be impactful, even if we can't see it immediately. It just keeps me going. It helps propel me forward to know something good is going to come out of this.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's something I follow Steve Magnus a lot. He puts out some really great content running and training, and he talks about how a lot of the training is kind of boring. A lot of it is just
totally
every day, and it's not glamorous, it's not flashy, it's just the consistent showing up. And there's social media, there's a lot of glamour around sports and all these things, which is so fun, and that's why we're here is talking about all of that And and this will get to our word that we've talked about for the episode. And a lot of it is just focusing, settling in and showing up each day and not letting, something kind of derail you. One more thought as you're talking about, seeing people succeed. One of my favorite books is called Bringing Out the Best in People. And it's kind of an old classic, but even just that title, I love that of how can I every day bring out the best in others? Hopefully myself also.
Sure.
but there's something about having that be a part of culture, whether it's work or personal. And anyway, what can we do to bring best out people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of translation of sports into life. And I think we can learn a lot from not just experiencing sports ourselves, but watching and understanding what athletes and the ecosystem kind of looks like and exists like. And yeah, I think I think the easiest and freest thing to do is be kind and supportive. Like, it doesn't take any effort at all to be like, hey, that's awesome for you. And how can I help? Like, I don't know, in every aspect of every space, like literally in the grocery store or in the work you do, that's where it's all rooted. Like, it really doesn't take anything. It doesn't take any talent, doesn't take any success, doesn't take any social media presence to do those things. Anyone can do it.
Oh, I love that. I think there's a lot of part of that. In fact, one more thought on that. Literally been thinking lately about how online I am, which is amazing, but also, I do grocery delivery, which is a blessing. And I also thought, you know what? I need to go to the grocery store and like smile at people and have little exchanges just to
Yeah.
make sure, keeping a pulse on my community. And
Right?
it's those
Yeah.
little touch points that I'm still going to do my grocery delivery, but I actually had a conscious thought lately of like, I need to go talk to someone. I need to just make sure that I'm engaging with the people around me, pushing a shopping cart next to someone. And anyway, I just think those little moments do create community and connection.
Yeah, that connection is super important and really meaningful in so many ways. Definitely part of the work we do with Play Gap, but everywhere.
I love it. So speaking of, let's shift gears. So word of the episode, we're going to talk more about Play Gap as we dig into this, but this is a hard task. Tell me what word we landed on and what you're kind of kicking around.
So yeah, it is a tough task. I have so many, and I love words. One of the early experiences in my social work education was, professors were really intentional about the words we use, the words we write, the words we use when we're speaking to people, hearing the words they say and not making assumptions. And so words are really, I find them really fun. And so this is tough for me. So I thought about the word deserving. I thought about the word connection. I thought about the word, what else did I write down? Trust. I thought about the word which is a super powerful word. And also the word quitting, which is very like opposite of what you think of when you think of sports and competitive people. And that's not the thing that people want to talk about. So yeah, I think those are the ones that were in my head.
I love it. And we landed on quitting. And I love because it is counterintuitive, when we talk about sports, but there's so much power in that. I think a lot of people are afraid of quitting. And you know what? Maybe, and it doesn't have to, there's a lot in finishing something, but there's wisdom and bravery. And I think courage was one of the words we kind of talked about too.
Yeah.
Courage in quitting and walking away. And that doesn't have to be, it's about making a choice of where your priorities are. And life is short and precious. Yeah, as I think about quitting in their life, like how did you kind of land on that? And with your work with the Play Gap, give us a primer on Play Gap.
Gosh, Play Gap is such a beautiful group of people. First of all, it is an organization. Yes, it's a nonprofit organization that we built, and I say we as in Elise Vu, and we met in late 2018, early 2019, out of a kind of a movement that she and some other friends and colleagues and teammates who across a few teams here in Cleveland met and started saying, hey, we should come together somehow to do something related to women's sports because we all need the support. And I found her through a fundraiser they were doing, met her and bought some calendars of what they were selling, met in a parking lot and said, what is this? And can I help? And she said yes. And so, Play Gap is an organization that now is a 501c3 as an official nonprofit. We've been around since 2019, and it's just built by connection with people who love sports, who want to play at any capacity in adulthood, whether that's after college or after high school, or they're getting into sports for the first time. For women in particular and marginalized groups, right? So the gap of play could mean transitions that we experience. It could mean inequitable access for certain groups or support that we don't get. Could be about time, money. I mean, there's so many gaps that we experience in play across our lifespans. And we notice that, women and other marginalized demographic groups in adulthood originally on our own to figure this out for ourselves. And so we decided to do that for everybody to the best ability that we could, to say, here, we're going to provide you some access to some safe and supportive environments that you can try out, and then also support those member teams at the same time, because we know that it's also really hard to run a recreational or competitive adult group when you're doing it in your spare time with a pretty low budget. And so we know both sides of that. And so we do that for all of our member teams, and really just building this community of women and others that say, hey, this is where I belong. This is finally where I found some people who understand me. And that just by itself goes a long way, let alone the sport environment that they get to be a part of. So yeah, that's kind of Play Gap in a nutshell. Everybody that is Play Gap, whether it's a member team, athlete, a leader of those organizations, a board member, volunteer, we really are in it together and really excited about the future of the organization.
So it's an opportunity for women of all ages to come together and play. And what are the different sports you guys have, or what?
Oh, wow. Well, we have an index in every single one of those teams. We really aimed early on to not just be a yellow pages, right? We can use all kinds of tools and just kind of scoop up sports organizations right online. We could use AI, we could use various Google tools to say, like, just let's list all the sport organizations and call it a day, right? So that's not super helpful, because I know that when I was looking for something to get back involved in, the time it took just to dig through what was available, how do I sign up, how do I show up, can I join? All of that just took so much time that usually you lose people. I mean, I shouldn't have to click 9 times to find something for me to do. And it's unacceptable. So we have conversations with every single member team before we list them on our index. We do kind of an assessment of what do they need? How can we help them? What do you provide? Who's allowed to come? And then help them along the way too, to figure out how to be more inclusive and safe and accessible, right? So adults also deserve safe environments to play in. We deserve to have some understanding of governance and support around our sport, especially because any injury could put us out, right, for a while, or make sure it's not too cost prohibitive, or all of those things. So we have so many different interesting sports on there, and there are some that are missing that seem like they would be easy. So for example, right now we have water polo, we have roller derby, we have rowing, we have some soccer opportunities, we have women's softball. I mean, that's just a few that are listed there. And we get some questions like, well, how come you don't have a running club, right? And how come you don't have...
There's so many.
And like, why? There's, there's people around all the time. They're like, that's exactly it. There's a lot of informal associations and a lot of informal groups. And I know that, maybe we'll talk about running later, but I think it's one of the most easy and accessible things to do, because typically you just put on tennis shoes. And I know that like experienced runners out there are like, that's not true. You need 20 pairs of shoes. But you can walk out your door and go do it with anybody, right? And so the idea of having a club or a team, I think we're becoming more thoughtful about that. And there are some groups we're talking to that are inclusive of novices and experienced folks, right? And so sometimes it's difficult to find those clubs that would be a good fit, but that doesn't mean they're not out there. It just means that we haven't found them yet. We're not even close to done. That's for sure.
I love what I'm sure as people come, you have new inspiration of ideas of, how to improve, how to tweak, how to adapt, or even, the rise of pickleball, or, a fellow Ohioan here, cornhole, all these fun things.
Yeah, totally.
What spectrum of sports are we talking, are we talking things that bring people together? And I'm sure different abilities and
totally. Yeah. And we created, filters that you can pick some of that from. Do you want a full contact sport or no contact at all? Do you want to play in the summer when it's warm here in Northeast Ohio? And we're not just here in Northeast Ohio anymore. That's the other thing. We've kind of expanded and started meeting with groups outside of Ohio. I mean, it's kind of wild, right? Initially, we were Cleveland Women's Sports, and we were really focused on Cleveland. There's plenty of women's sports to participate in here in Cleveland, but most people didn't even know about them. That's where we started. They're going to get the best of us. Our local teams are going to get everything we can give them. And then we started, it's about conversations, right? Connection. People know somebody else who find us, who then talk to somebody else. And we'll talk to anybody. I mean, I think that's how we started. And so
that's how we connected.
Doing cool stuff. Honestly, I think it's funny because people are like, how are you doing all this stuff? And I was like, I will talk to anyone. I will cold call anybody. And I'm really good. And I think it's easy to find connection with people if you're willing to be transparent. And so that's how we met a lot of our teams in other states. And, that continues to grow, but we're a fully volunteer run organization. We all have other things going on. And so I know that every media request or interview I do, I say that. And I immediately know that some listeners hear that and go, oh, so it's not that important. If it's fully volunteer run, it can't be that important. And then,
Oh, no.
and I know that that's not happening here, but it's possible that somebody will hear that and be like, well, no wonder, right? Like, no wonder it's women's sports. Of course, no, but
Yeah.
we're headed toward, a lot more sustainability for the organization, but that doesn't mean we have to stop, even if we can, right? Like we're doing what we can with the time we have. So, and it's been great.
Oh, I love it. I think that's really powerful. I feel like the culture of volunteering has shifted, and so I actually really think it's an important. I mean, this is Christina speaking, but kind of civic duty to our communities is to volunteer and to participate. And while your girl's all about, pay and everything else, I do think there is something about offering, goodness to your community for the general benefit and good. And I think, anyway, that's me speaking, but I really do think there's so much value in volunteering and contributing and being a part of something just for the love. And sometimes when you're doing something that, anyway, you have other incentives that you may lose some of that magic. And so there's something really special about, wow, this is people showing up because of passion and they're excited to be here. Doesn't mean you don't get burned out. I'm sure, burned out as well. Yeah. But there is something special about this is valuable enough that we're doing this in our spare time when we have, these other opportunities. So
yeah. And we had to, in something, we have to be very intentional. And so one of the quitting comes up in this aspect for sure is that like, we have to quit the expectation of what society determines to be valuable. Because we know there's value in what we're doing. Every person that we serve as a Play Gap partner or supporter or athlete, they know that what they bring and what they do is valuable. And so we had to quit the idea that in order to be deemed successful or valuable, that we had to have lots and lots of money and a ton of prestige and bazillion followers, and that's what makes you successful. And we had to quit that idea very, early, because we knew that this is going to go against a lot of things. And adult women don't get a lot of support, generally speaking, let alone if we talk about being an athlete, right? And so we had to quit the idea that we cared at all if people, thought it was strange to call myself an athlete in adulthood, to say that out loud and to identify in that way and not care.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that, and as a runner, I meet so many people who are uncomfortable with calling themselves runners. And there's not a disconnect there. To me, it's not necessarily odd. Again, there are reasons, right? But I think there is something about saying, hey, this is a thing I like to do and I'm doing it, and therefore I'm a runner. I'm someone who runs, and there is, of course, like the spectrum, right? Of someone saying I'm a soccer player, that can mean a lot of things. And so there's also recreational or leisure or pro or, competitive.
Sure.
And so we can add on recreational athlete if someone really wants to specify the level of participation. Yeah. But to your point, go ahead and own it. Let it be part of who you are.
Yeah. Well, quit the labels, right? Like, quit the labels just because, you don't think you can be a runner because you're not in the Olympics. Well, I mean, like 1% of people make it professionally in any sport at all anyway. So that doesn't make everything we've done irrelevant. It doesn't make the fact that you move your body intentionally and have a good time doing it that you aren't an athlete. Like, forget why do we need the labels? Who cares? Like,
it's a missed opportunity if we get
it's
hung
freeing,
up
right?
Much.
Totally. And by whose standards is always my question,
Yeah. Well, kind of your comments about, and again, as a woman, I've experienced some of the cultural dynamics that you mentioned, and it was interesting. I had an alumni soccer game, so I went to my hometown, and it was really fun. We were opening complex. It was really, really neat to think about these fields we played at that weren't, that fancy, but some community members had really invested, even people who don't live there anymore, to upgrade the complex, which was really incredible to see people giving back, from that community spirit. And it was so fun that while I am not playing consistently, and some of the women that I played with, in high school, and then again at this meetup, are still playing on leisure leagues and whatever else. But it was so cool to be with people who, some were more fit than others and some were, kind of a little rusty, to just have fun and get out there. And it
Yeah.
was really powerful to go and,
Yeah.
and it was funny too. There's a moment I realized, I struggle with flying objects, and there was a moment where I thought, I've seen the ball was coming right at me, and I kind of sacrificed my body. I'll just sit, and it was a solid block, and I
Yeah.
thought I would not have felt comfortable doing that in high school. I wasn't that level of competitiveness, and I thought
Yeah.
there's something about being a woman at my age who's like, I don't care. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
it
I
was
love that.
it was kind of funny, but I thought, wow, I think the younger me would have been proud that I didn't care, and I just thought, and I'm having fun and I'm gonna live in the moment, and
Heck yeah.
kicking
That's
it.
great. Yeah. Make your younger self proud every day. I mean,
Right.
like, I'm not the same person I was when I was in high school playing basketball, but man, I think that if I knew, I'd be proud of myself. I didn't have the confidence, right, that I have now. I didn't have the understanding of like that I can be myself and that I can be this really sensitive, empathetic person, and then also being like a pretty serious competitor. I didn't realize I could do all those things until later. And so, and also you really like you hit it like it's interesting because we surveyed some of our athletes early on and kind of were curious. Like we know why we would play. We know why we're building this organization. We really want to hear from you. Like, are we on track? Are we doing this because of the same reasons you want to be doing this? And so we asked them, like, why do you play? And the number one reason was for like a sense of community and fun. And it's the
Yeah.
same reason you play sports as a kid. Literally every kid. I mean, if you survey kids and you talk to kids, like, why do you play sports? It's because my friends are, because it's fun, it's because I enjoy it. That should be
Yeah.
and has been the number one reason. And here we are in adulthood and it's the same.
Yes.
And we lose a lot of some of that magic and beauty in between for a variety of reasons, which we don't have time to get into, sport culture and all of that. But I think we can do that another time if you want. But I think we get back to that. We get back to that now because we understand our perspective and our priorities and understand that there's so much good stuff that can come from that. And like just showing up and kicking a ball around with some people you used to play with sounds awesome. And like,
so
that's
fun.
enough. And you don't have to qualify that anymore. You don't have to justify that to anybody. It can just be that awesome. And that's enough.
Yeah, it's true. It was really neat to see all these friends together. And then, the people coming off with little toddlers or the kid, and it was fun. And it felt like, wow, it felt like yesterday and on one hand, and the other hand of, oh, I'm in such a different place of my life. But it was really sweet to feel like, there's something about touching grass that is
yeah,
is
for
important.
sure. Yeah, that's great.
No matter age. So it was a lot of fun. Well, so kind of speaking of that, shifting gears of talking about quitting. So one of the things that I hope people take away is how people make decisions and how we can make better decisions and good decisions. And often, my dad, I refer to him often here as he would talk about, he was a change consultant and talk about often people think it's a motivation problem and usually it's a skills problem. And so one of the things I want to do is help people think about skills. How can we take this conversation or take your work and a little nugget that people kind of walk away with, that how do you approach these challenges, whether it's personally or professionally? How do you prioritize? How do you choose what to quit?
I mean, I think first you have to know yourself and trust yourself. I don't think you can do any of the next things such as skill building or assuming or imagining what motivates you until you understand and really are honest with who you are and where you're at. Like I think sometimes we trick ourselves because we like should, right? It might sound crass, but like, we always kind of say like, don't should all over yourself, right? Like I think like we have to get very clear with ourselves about maybe not like we're not where we want to be, or maybe we have this idea of our future selves, but like we have to imagine where we are right now, like in this moment, right now, in the season of my life, like how am I doing? Like it has to start there. And am I being honest with myself, or am I trying to play tricks on myself? And how is that going to change what I do next? And why am I making this decision, and who's it for, right? Who benefits from making this decision? And then how in my spirit do I feel authentically about it, right? Because I think I know for myself, I've come a long way in my own self exploration, in my own work, in my own like desire to continually strive, right? To be better for myself and for my kids and for all the work I do and the people I try to help. But I can trick my mind being resilient people, I mean, I can trick my mind into doing whatever I want it to do for a certain amount of time. I can tell myself I can intellectualize we all can. We can intellectualize every decision. We can say, this makes sense. This is rational. I'm going to do it this way and go. And then all of a sudden something feels off. And then you think to myself, well, in my heart, is this what I want to be doing? And I even think you can trick your heart sometimes into loving something, because your brain and your heart definitely are connected in that way. And I think you can trick it. And eventually your spirit will come and make you come to terms with that. And I think like if you are not aligned authentically with the thing you're doing, at some point in time, some people call it a crisis, some people call it an impasse, some people call it an intersection, whatever. That's your spirit showing up to be like, in my body, in my experience, I don't want to be doing this, because it will hold the line for you. I mean, in my experience, this is my words and my experience, like it holds the line for me and checks me when I'm about to say yes to something, right? And I really should be saying no. And I really should be quitting the idea of somebody else's expectations, of that should, of this is the way it is, so just deal with it. I love the name of this podcast, because like I don't fit into like generally like the state of the world. I never have. I've always heard over and over again, that's not the way of things, Barb. You're just going to have to figure out how to manage and be like everybody else. And I was like, oh, absolutely not.
Good for you.
So like the fact that it's called Running Unicorns, I was like, that's what unicorns are. Like they just are who they are, and they're rare and beautiful, and
right.
and they are fully aligned with who they are, right? So yeah, I think we can build skills, and I think that that's all solvable. Like there's always going to be somebody that can help you build those skills. There's so many great resources out there. Motivation comes when you are totally aligned and ready. Like no one can force that upon you. And I understand there's got to be basic needs of living, right? Sometimes you can't have these what feels like extra, because you are living. And we're living in the state of the world right now where it's really hard to get by every day. Every single person, sometimes even worse for other vulnerable populations than others. And I'm not so unaware that like the work I'm doing in some ways feels extra. But to me, it feels like essential, because it keeps me grounded in being okay when we live in a world that maybe doesn't feel okay. Right.
Oh man, I have so many thoughts.
Sorry.
Oh, I love it. That's what I'm here. That's what we're here for. I love it. This is great. I get it. There's so much to process, but I think the authenticity of getting aligned, of it's easy sometimes to kind of convince ourselves to do something, or to talk ourselves into something, or talk ourselves out of something, but pausing and saying, is this what I want? And sometimes it does take a little experimenting or touch the hot stove to say, you know what? I got to redirect. This is not a good fit. And I can't tell I've done a lot of that, but I think there's still value in trying of, okay, maybe you need to take one step into the darkness, one step into the unknown, and then you either keep walking, you learn from it, or you pause and you just say, you know what, I'm a redirect. It's time to pivot and maybe come back to it. I feel like so often. Anyway, I'll just say I know someone who called off a wedding the morning of, and I remember them saying, there's not going to be a wedding today, maybe a different day, but not today. And I thought that was really powerful. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week. And I think there's something about kind of getting this mindset of it's now or never. And actually it could just be tomorrow,
right.
if you feel this weight. And I think there's power knowing the options, and life is long. But yeah, you thought about that?
Yeah, I think what I hear is kind of feeling stuck, right? Or feeling like I'm on this ride, and now I'm on it forever, and I can't get off, and there's nothing I can do. Like that helpless, kind of powerless, stuck feeling sucks. But I do understand that there's other variables that, in that example especially, play into. I'm just going to do it anyway because I don't want to have to deal with the fallout of saying I'm not ready, or I don't want to, or maybe not today, or all the people that paid to be here. Like there's so much expectation. So quitting the expectations would make that decision probably a little bit easier, though I understand how hard that would be. Right. And so for an athlete to say, I'm not going to compete in this very, public facing large event because I know I have a nagging injury. Nobody else does, but I know it's not good for me. Like there's so many transferable parts of this of quitting the idea that to be successful, I only win. Like you can be successful and lose because now you've just figured out something else about yourself that helps you be successful in other ways. So yeah, I think like feeling stuck is probably, I mean, I have felt stuck and I would never kind of talk about something I think ever if I didn't have some at least like connection to the topic. But I think feeling stuck really is so hard because then you're like, well, I have a choice. I think I'm going to choose to stay stuck for now because it's just easier right now for me to stay stuck. But at some point, that's going to come back to challenge you. Say, how about now? Are we ready to get unstuck now? Right? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe it's not yet. And it takes a lot of courage to say, like, yeah, I think I'm ready to get unstuck because that might change a lot of other things in your life.
I love it. And you can quit temporarily. Like you mentioned, and if you get an injury, you may have to take a season off.
Take a pause.
And it doesn't have to be forever. Maybe it is forever, but I think
that's so true. Maybe it will be. I don't know.
We got to open our mindsets. But I think there's something about, again, kind of going back to this little alumni soccer game. Maybe I got to join a rec league now. But I remember there's a moment where I remember the younger me would have felt more anxious about, I got to kick the ball. I got to get to the next person. And there was a little moment, again, in this very informal, not big deal alumni game where I paused and I looked around to see what my options were, who to kick the ball to. Again, it kind of gave me this feeling of like, wow, I'm so glad that I know in life I can pause now. I have options. I can look and see who's available or what my options are. And again, those are the values of sport and why it is so important. Whether it's running or whether it's soccer, whether it's, pickleball, whatever it is, they teach us things about ourselves and about life. And I think that's where, to your point of, okay, it's just sports, but it's also, it's so much more. It's these life lessons and coming together and getting to talk about it. So much value there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the questions, kind of shifting gears a little bit, is I like to ask people, at Running Unicorns, we talk about opening hearts, minds, doors, and wallets. What would you hope people would be open to kind of think about our conversation or your work, whether that's, from a social work perspective or sports? You can choose one or all of them.
I was going to say, there's no way I'm choosing just one. I'm like, I have such high expectations for myself and everything I do that like, I want all of it. I want that for everybody. I do. I think because I think wallets, are a fun, interesting conversation to have when it comes to philanthropy and sport, but also just giving in general and why and who people give to. So obviously, like that helps a lot. And so, yes, definitely open your wallets. But I think opening your hearts and your minds helps that. I think like that supports a lot more giving. I think when people really get to experience what you're doing and interface with people in a real way, whether that gives you more time or buy-in or, money, I think then we all kind of benefit. So yeah, I want it all. That's just generally speaking, for all the things I'm doing. I want it. I want it all for everybody. And yeah, I think everybody would benefit from definitely right now from more open hearts and minds and understanding for sure.
I do like the question because I think it's powerful to think about, or what am I being open to? And, you mentioned philanthropy and something just, kind of for our listeners of something, there was a training I did once it was about philanthropy and it's kind of stuck with me. But the trainer was talking about this idea of, people often want to give, but they don't always know how. So kind of referring to the wallets, open your wallets. And it could be opening and put cash in there too. But
sure.
But she would say that when she would approach people, she'd say, what are your goals? As someone who may have, something to give. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you in a place to give right now? And at what level is that? And what kind of gift would you want that to look like? And maybe there's not cash, but there could be social capital. And so there are different types of capital or influence or an introduction. And so I think we have to your mind, kind of quit traditional perspectives on what giving can look like and also capital. And so there are lots of ways to give, whether that's our time, our talent, our treasure, but it can look like a lot of things. And so I think it's putting this old school mindset and opening your minds to new perspectives.
Yeah. And having a conversation. Yeah. Just like, let's talk about it and let's actually talk about it. Let's not feel like we have to pitch to each other. Let's just talk about why we're doing this. And I understand that we're kind of bridging a cultural gap as well in terms of how we do things like that. We have a very much an old guard traditional ways in corporations and philanthropy and the way we do things. And we also have a younger generation that's saying like, no, we're going to just do it the way we want to do it. And I think my generation's kind of right in the middle, being a bridge, and I'm happy to be that person. I'm happy to be that bridge that says I understand this kind of old guard, and I understand this way, and I also really appreciate and love just the genuine authenticity of saying like, well, let's just do it different and still be just as effective, if not more effective. And I just really appreciate women in the sports space and in all the levels and all the capacities. And I just, giving everybody a shout out, all the women who are really doing the work and who aren't on podcasts, who aren't getting to talk about the work they do.
Yes.
I see you, Playgout sees you. We know you're there, and like, don't stop. That would be one not to quit. I would say.
Love that.
Stay at it. Yeah.
So much behind the scenes, as you mentioned, all the hats. The people are wearing a lot of hats in the background that people don't always get to see. So I'm just kind of fun to wrap. My content is a little running leaning, since I'm a runner, that's my first love. Got to ask, are you a runner? And it's okay if you're not, but
I run when I need to bring my water bottle down to the dock, but right before I row. So I'm a rower right now.
Okay.
I've always, anybody who knows me know that I always say like, I want to be a runner in my mind. Like I want to be that person that rises early and goes out for a run. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm a runner, but no, I don't run as a sport right now. And when I was younger, I only liked running if it was after like a basketball or some other ball. So I needed another incentive to do it. But yeah, I like the idea of running, and maybe I will be someday. We're not done yet. So I would love that.
We'll do a little run, a little rowing. I would love that.
Super. Some of my teammates are also runners, and they're inspiring, and they also inspire me to say like, I don't have to go and do, giant races to be a runner, right? Like, so they've got the mindset you do. That's right. Super encouraging.
Come around.
Yeah, I love it. There's some right. There's so many people I want you to meet too that I know that would have amazing conversations with you on this podcast. So like maybe afterwards I'll connect you with some of them. So I love sports, and I love just generally any sport that gets people excited. So like, just because I'm not a runner, I love that you're a runner, and I love that you love being a runner.
You love that for me, and that's great.
I do. I love that for you. I also love the fact that like some women play tackle football. Like I'm not in the stage in my life where I'm okay playing tackle football, but I freaking love it that you do, and I love that you love it, and I love everything about it. And I'm here for it, 100%. I mean, I'll help. I'll support you. Why not?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's awesome. Well, Barb, this has been so fun. I'm so glad we got time to talk today. And I'll wrap with this. What keeps you running? We talked a little about this earlier, but what keeps you running, and what do you hope that people will keep running at home?
Oh, I mean, I keep running because I'm not done. I'm so far from done.
Yes. I love it.
That's it. I'm not done, and I got so much more to do.
Not done. Okay, not done. She's not quitting this part, so that's good.
Nope. Maybe other things.
We're gonna quit the ideas
this.
We don't need. So fun. I'm excited. And where can people find you?
Oh wow. Well, you can definitely find Playgout. I mean, Playgout Sports on Instagram and all those social channels. Play-gap.org. You can also just look us up, and you can find us everywhere. You can find me in a variety of places, whether it's at Playgout or my practice. But if you're somehow near the Cuyahoga River and you see a boat full of amazing women kicking ass, then that's my boat. And so that's where I am. And otherwise I'm with my kids and supporting their endeavors and hanging out with my dog.
Amazing. Well, I'm excited to follow along, and hopefully people will be inspired to get out there, quit some of those old ideas, and move into just going for it. So thanks so much, Barb. Yeah. And with that,
thank you.
See you next time.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us. And now it's your turn. We invite you to continue the conversation and run with it to your circles of influence. From the boardroom to the kitchen table, share how sport and play can connect, unite us, and ultimately be a positive impact in our communities. Life is short, and we're so grateful you spent this precious time with us. Go outside, go for a walk, sign up for that 5K, get tickets to something, get sweaty, and have fun. We hope you'll be back soon. And in the meantime, join us on Strava, social media, or visit runningunicorns.com to learn more. Thanks so much for being here. And until next time, keep running. If you had a good time today, tell us in the comments what you enjoyed and what you hope to hear more of. You're also welcome to reach us via email, team@runningunicorns.com, with a message or voice note. This has been a production of Southtown Communications.